Okay, so hi
Yeah.
Souranil, welcome on the
Hi.
platform of YourPedia.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Before I used to welcome Souranil for the staff sessions, and today it is a session which is interaction session, right? And
Yeah.
now you're happy,
Yes, ma'am. I'm happy and relieved.
happy and relieved. These are the two beautiful words a person can aspire for, right?
Yeah.
So finally, you got your selection in HPCL. So you
Mm.
were dreaming for it and you achieved it. So
Yeah.
were you expecting the results, Souranil, that, oh, this time I'm going to clear it out?
Um, uh, Not really, because I for the exam part in the CBT, I actually left out a lot of questions because of the 170 total questions, I merely answered around 130 to 135 odd questions.
Okay,
So, but for like that was the time when I realized when the total compilation came after the questions that I only answered 130. So the chances based on the previous year's cutoff was very lean for me.
very lean,
My
right?
only hope was that I get the answers right,
Accuracy.
whatever I answered. Yeah, accuracy,
Okay,
and that played a very crucial role for me. I got it accurate. That's yeah.
great. So we will be discussing all your scores and everything. But before that, Soranil, I would like to ask and to request you to please introduce yourself. आप पहले अपने बारे में बता दीजिए.
Yes. So I am Souranil Viswas, and I am from Kolkata. Currently, after graduating in BTech in Mechanical Engineering from NIT Durgapur, I'm currently working as a process engineer in Thermax, which is a company known for making boilers and heat exchangers. This year, I have got selected in HPCL,
Right.
and uh, apart from that, I also love playing football. If that
Okay, right. So, Soranil, very first thing you told that you passed out in which year?
in 2021,
2021. And then there were 3 years journey. What were you doing
yeah.
in 3 years specifically? The job era only?
In the first year, I didn't look for any like my job. I got it from the campus placement, and after that, the first year I got engrossed in the job itself. But
Right.
the time was about right in 2022 when I decided to go for some greater challenges and higher aspirations. And I
Right.
started preparing parallelly for CAT and for the PSUs
Okay.
and in 2022 itself I even got into one of the baby IIMs as well, but uh, somewhere I was not satisfied with that, and so I decided to take a drop and keep on preparing. And I was preparing, as I said, for PSUs as well, and this year luckily I got into one of my dream jobs, that is to be a part of HPCL.
Great. So finally you landed over there.
Yeah.
So सोलोनिल वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग अभी आपका जो आप बोल रहे थे कि 130 से 135 तक ही आपने रिटर्न में किया था लाइक जब
Hmm.
अटेम्प्ट किया था तो स्कोर
Attempt.
कितना आया था आपका
My final score was 109,
109 ग्रेट और आपकी ब्रांच कौन सी है सोलोनिल
mechanical.
मैकेनिकल व्हाट वाज द कट ऑफ ओवर देयर
For my category, I am from SC category. So in my category, it was 92.
92 राइट एंड व्हेन आई थिंक दैट जनरल में 102 तक गई होगी शायद
Yeah, around 100, 101 ऐसा कुछ.
100 102 इतना कुछ किया ठीक है ग्रेट तो चलो यू हैड अ सेफ साइड आपकी एक्यूरेसी
Yeah,
ने आपको बचा लिया राइट
right, right.
Got into it. Okay. So now the next thing, Sornil, first we will be moving your strategy related to your HPCL exam preparation for written. How did you
Mm-hmm.
prepare and how you're going to guide the students? Like normally students say कि PYQs ले लो या फिर उससे practice करो तो आपकी preparation
Mm-hmm.
strategy कैसी थी?
So for firstly, my preparation strategy can be further subdivided into two parts, as HPCL has both technical part containing half of the marks, and there are some general intelligence, quants, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for the non-technical part, that was quite streamlined for me because, as I said, I was preparing for CAT as well, and that
Right.
got taken care of in that portion. And for
Mm-hmm.
the technical parts, I often like first of all, I since I'm in a technical job role only, so I used to take my jobs very seriously and
Right.
try to learn wherever it's possible, and that helped me a lot in especially thermodynamics, solid mechanics, almost all the aspects. And
Right.
apart from that, I would always go through the revisions of the. I have my BTech year copies and everything, and I will revise it every now and then whenever I have some doubt or I forgot something. And apart from that, for specifically the exam purpose, I did do some of the previous year question papers and some mock some sample question banks and what is available in the market in
Right.
order to evaluate where I'm currently standing. That's all.
Okay. So that was the way you prepared for the HPCL exam, right? The
Yeah,
written. Okay.
great and
Now, before that, also, आपने बोला 2021 you placed. Now, many students who are placed in private companies, they
mm-hmm.
find it very hard to leave the job. And even if they are
Yeah.
to leave it out, that is a kind of a decision कि अगर ना selection हुई तो finances कैसे या सब कुछ. So, how
Hmm.
will you be inspiring them? Because you have been on both the sides of the coin, I would say. आपने job
Yeah.
किया भी है, then you made a decision also. Was it tough for you?
Yeah, so I prepared the whole time while doing the job, and currently I'm also doing the job, in fact. But what I try to do is to keep the personal life and office life very segregated, and to leave the official burden once I close the drawers of the office. And in the personal life, when I come back, I'll focus on my studies and try to utilize the remaining hours of the day in productive way.
Right.
And I'd never really stress too much that my office में मेरा बहुत time waste हो रहा है and stuff like that. I always took it positively because I had some on very good on job learning there as well, which
Right.
really helped me during even in my interview workshops as well later.
Okay, great. So, right, everything that is, if it is streamlined, if you're balancing well, so with
Yeah.
the job also you can prepare it very nicely, right? So it is
Hmm.
not that tough, I would say. So all the people जो private में कर भी रहे हैं, तो उनको toughness और ये चीजों में इतनी tension लेने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So let me take you back to the day of your interview and of your GT one. The day got lucky. Okay. So now tell me, आपका सबसे पहले GT हुआ because it is qualifying in nature, right?
Yes, yes.
Center कौन सा था सोरेनिल आपका?
Sorry.
Which center was your PI?
Mumbai Center in the HQ itself.
Mumbai. Okay, that's it. Right. So very first GT happened. So how many
Hmm.
participants were there in the GT?
We were subdivided. We total 16 people appeared for the GT, and we were further divided into a group of eight in two groups. So
Okay,
our
into
group was the first one to,
so eight groups and eight people were in your group, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
eight were the invigilators, like to all the panel people. How many were there in number?
yeah. There were eight.
Eight. So eight
Yeah,
were the participants and eight were the kind of invigilators.
right.
Right. Okay. So how much time? Like I have always told that HPCL GTs are very long. So was it
Hmm.
in your case कि HPCL का GT लंबा था?
As far as I remember, it was between 15 to 20 minutes in total. For like that was a time given to us for discussions.
For discussion and the
Yeah.
document is long, that is
That was fairly long, like give or take around 150 words, I would say.
okay, great. And there were like a case study and then sub questions were there, like what was the group task about, for example?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. There was this, firstly, there was a para describing the background of the task, and then there were certain, conditions which we needed to address, and there was some, at the last, there were some specific questions or the
Okay.
specific problems that we needed to solve out.
Okay, so what was the case study about?
We actually, I didn't actually quite remember the name, but there was this book company which wants to, diversify their business and come, in order to go, cope up with their competitors. It wants to come online. That was it wants to promote sustainability and its eco-friendliness,
Okay.
and it wants some innovative way of marketing. So these
Okay.
were the main problems that we needed to address as a representative of the committee, which decides the fate of the company's marketing strategies in the coming time.
Okay, so basically related to diversification of business and that was a book business related, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what kind of a questions were there at the end? जैसे आपने बोला कि marketing based या कैसे questions थे जो आपको
So yeah, as far as I remember, there was this question: how do you promote how do you market it firstly, and get a better hold of your competitors? That was the first, and second is how in while you are doing that process, how do you also promote your uniqueness? And the company had an inclination of doing that by promoting eco-friendliness.
okay.
And the third portion was that, like, how what else can we do something innovative or something that hasn't been done by anybody yet to attract and retain our customers or subscribers.
Okay, right. So great, interesting group task.
Yeah.
So once you started with the group task, very first thing is, were every person, in eight people, were participating, or were there some who were not able to speak anything?
There were, I would say, one or two who didn't speak much, but we had a collaborative approach, and we spoke and let everyone speak.
Right.
And I took the opportunity to give the introduction,
That's
and I think that in that I really did well because I further dissected and provided a checkpoint to the
to the
entire way through
entire group.
for
Right.
to the group, that how should we discuss and how much time we should focus on this each discussion and stuff like that.
So initiation is a good part. If you are very confident,
Yeah.
then you should do it. And if you did, that's wonderful, right? And in between, how many times did you participate, Saurabh?
Ensured that I participate at like one and but not more than two times in for every question or every new discussion that we were doing. And I also try to ensure that whatever point I'm giving is non-repetitive and adds a new and relevant angle to the ongoing discussion, and I'm not going back or tracing back to some discussion that has already been closed.
Okay, right, great. So, Soranil, now after GT, how many people were qualified from your group? Like out of eight,
Out of it, I think five or six.
five or six qualified, right? Two
Yeah.
were rejected in that case.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So, what is one th that thing that you would guide to students who if you're preparing for group task, how you should do it out?
Firstly, since I was also very new when this group task thing came into the picture, so and the first clarification that I also sought out was the difference between a group discussion and group task, because people often confuse that.
Right.
And since group task is a team effort, and then you need to strategize in a way that you should be always working with the team and give some valuable inputs, not to outshine anyone, but to add to the existing conversation and
Mm.
to accentuate that. So
To
that was
support each
something.
other, that is the one thing that
Yeah.
looked in group task, right?
Yeah, and I also did it required quite a time for me to be conscious about how many times and the volume of my speaking. That also matters, because it shouldn't be like you are suppressing the other's voice, and the tone, vocal intonation, and the way you start and conclude, or even if you want to add a point or slightly disagree with someone, all those tactics and the choice of words matters.
Right, everything matters, right? From tip to toe, the way you introduce the liners, the way you are courteous,
Yeah,
being polite. So all these things are very important in your group task,
right.
right? Okay, now coming to your PI one, Sornal. So PI took how much time? कितना time मिला आपको PI के लिए?
My PI was the first in the entire panel list, like entire candidate list. So I was the first to enter into that interview room,
Okay,
and it went for almost an hour for me,
one
compared
hour.
to yeah, compared to like the other people, it was at most 15 to 20 minutes, but it went for an hour for me.
That's too long, right? Group
Yeah,
task आपका 15 को minutes चला होगा, right?
15 to 20 minutes, somewhere
15,
in
20
between.
minutes. Same way आपको 10 minutes सोचने के लिए मिले to read about it.
Right.
And you
But
have
there was one thing in group tasks, like we like there was a confusion actually, that when before the group task was initiated, the HR told us that you would be given a signal for to sum
Mhm.
up the conclusions. And during the group task, she just said that last 5 minutes left. But we were very confused that whether the last 5 minutes is left for the group task or to
for
pull up the
the
conclusion. And
right.
ultimately, it was very unfortunate that we thought that it was not for the conclusion, and conclusion will be specifically or explicitly being told, but we missed the conclusion in a way in the group
Okay.
task.
Okay, right. So basically it was like same way 10 minutes आपको पढ़ने के लिए मिला 15 मिनट वहां पे
Right.
लेकिन आपका पीआई 1 आवर चला जो कि बहुत लंबा
Yes.
है राइट
Yes.
पैनल में वही 8 लोग होंगे आपके
Right. The
so it
same
was
people.
more of HR or technical Sorry.
I would say it was like more technical, but not very like there was also significant amount of HR questions, or I would say some psychological questions as well.
Okay.
And there was this panel where of the eight people, five of them were asking me technical questions, where there were three on my left who were very observant of everything, how I'm answering the questions, my body language,
So they were
and
just
my,
observing, they were not
yeah,
interacting, right?
not much, but they also did ask some non-technical questions, and some questions were from my employment form as well, like in a continuation, not exactly the same, but as a continuation of that.
Okay. So can you just revive what were the questions, like how it started with your introduction?
Yeah, it started with my introduction, and then uh, since I'm working in a company which is quite relevant to the affairs of HPCL as well, so
Right.
they asked me questions about the equipments, and that what is my job role in my current company, and
Okay.
they asked me some and at that time one of those non-technical persons also asked me about to cite some instances about my teamwork, like any situation where I have demonstrated teamwork, or any situation where there has been conflict in my team, and how have I helped to resolve that
Help to
and stuff.
resolve, right? Something that you have practiced that out related to
Yeah, I did practice that out, and in the snap sessions itself, it was a good practice, and I got some valuable suggestions as well.
right.
And it was I was lucky that I could implement that in the proper way in the proper time.
In the finals, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So it started with the introduction, then your equipments and job role and responsibilities, and
right.
what is the, you can say, which the subordinates conflict related questions, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
teamwork related questions. What else were there?
Apart from that, since I mentioned that I am also a social volunteer, like working for several NGOs and stuff, so they were interested in what I do and asked me questions regarding to that as well. And there were like there is this one instance where I said that my one of my weaknesses was that I am quite workaholic, and then they cross questioned that if you are workaholic, then how do you get time to do the things for the social causes, and I needed to balance that answer as well.
Right, 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 right. Okay. And what else? Were there questions related to your project, internships, or
Not much. My questions are mostly related to my on-job roles and
job?
the contracts or the jobs that projects that I did on job, not from colleges or anything.
Okay, so basically, obviously, the ones who are working, they will have more of the
Yeah,
questions related to their job experiences, roles,
right,
responsibilities, and some situational related to it, right? And
right, right.
apart from it, anything related to products of HPCL or HPCL के situational question, जैसे बहुत सुनने को मिल रहे थे, कल को HPCL प्राइवेटाइज हो जाएगा, यहाँ पे क्यों आना चाहते हो, like something related to
Yeah, I got that question regarding why do I want to leave my current company since I'm working so well in that company, and why
yeah,
do I want to join HPCL?
right.
And I was very much vocal about new innovations and state of the art technologies. So I was also asked the questions that you are getting access of all that in your current company, but maybe you will be posted in some maintenance in HPCL. So how will you find that exciting? And this kind of cross questions were there.
Okay, so all these things you were able to handle, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
was good.
great. तो ऐसा था क्वेश्चन जो नहीं भी आंसर कर पा रहे थे?
For my case, there was fortunately no question that I had to say strictly no. I
Okay.
could answer more or less the things, and they didn't ask any question out of the blue or something very exorbitant. They just wanted to know how do you answer the question and how do you interact in that process.
Basically, the way it is told that the interview does not check your knowledge, but about your personality, the grooming. Is
Right, right.
that 100% true or not?
Yeah, it's I would say it's like completely true, and and I think that the all the snap sessions also added me some confidence in me, and when I was very tense before the interview and everything, but the moment I entered into the zone, into the interview, I was just sitting there relaxed, nothing in my mind, and I was just smiling and I'm maintaining eye contact with everyone, keeping everyone, including everyone into the discussion, and it was really good.
That's really good. Okay, great. So Sonal, what kind of a technical were there, if you remember exactly? कि technical questions कहाँ कैसे थे?
Technical question, since I currently work in the boiler manufacturing company,
Mhm.
so there were technical questions about combustion systems, and there were thermodynamics and temperature related questions of the fluids and stuff, the material selection, and anywhere where like I also mentioned that I worked in some of the contracts where HPCL was our customer itself. So they asked me instances like where any instances where there was some technical difficulties happening and how did you address that and stuff like that. There was
Okay.
no such definition related questions like define this or ये क्या होता है ये बताओ, but
Mhm.
there were more application related
Practically
questions.
questions were the apply that is based on your jobs, roles, and responsibilities.
Right.
Right. Anything related to hobbies, Sonal?
Yeah, related to my hobbies, they didn't ask much. Only that that's thing that I work as a social volunteer. That was a thing they were more interested in.
Did they ask the name of the NGOs which you are established with or
Uh,
something?
yeah. They asked me. They asked like the three people in them in my left side. Though they asked me about the NGOs and how do I the extents and the content of my work and the stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay. So when you were leaving the interview, that room, were you feeling that confident that yeah, it went well, or were you still nervous because was there any positive remark at the end or something related to job relocation they asked?
Uh, Yes, so there, as far as I could, judge from their body language, they were more or less happy with my interview. And the last question, strangely, was they asked me, ki, "What do you think of your performance in the group task?"
Okay.
So, and I said the same thing that I tried to build a pathway when I introduced, and then I also participated in the group task and added some new and vital points to the relevant discussion. And that
Right.
was the last, and they just smiled at me and said, "Okay, best of luck." And it was good. Like I was feeling good about it after
Good
the
about
interview.
it. So you were satisfied and you exchanged the smiles and then
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
yeah,
did.
that is the way it ended the your PI and GT one, right? Now
Right,
the most
right.
important thing, Saranal, which the students might want to know, that what should be the preparation strategy and how should you prepare for the GTs for the PI? Like it is whole about what? Like the way we
Uh,
know.
in a word, if I would say that firstly you need to get out of that zone where you are frightened or petrified by the thought of BGT and PI, and you need to, and like I personally cut off all the negative influences or someone who says that ये तो ऐसा होता है इसमें ऐसा नहीं हो पाता and stuff like that. I just believed in myself, and I only focused. I even in the day of interview I never focused on getting the to back the job or something. I only focus to give my best in that position and have no regrets. That's the way uh, I practiced a lot, in fact, in like in the previous days, and with you and all the other HR mentors. I did a lot of sessions, especially in group tasks. And I remember you would every time you would say that you need to improve this and this, and I would take that very seriously, and I would, in fact, I had some monologues in front of mirrors as well, so
Right. That is
to
important.
write, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it is all about your grooming skills. That is, you practice more, you go for the feedbacks, you actually imply on them, and ultimately
Yeah,
you are able to help it out. Like it should be a
yeah.
kind of basically a proper guidance should be there. And the
Hmm.
best thing is you should learn, but you should practice. That is the most
Yes.
right.
Practice is very important.
Practice is important. So more it is in like GTs and PI is all about practice, I guess.
Yeah.
And giving
And like I realized in the same course that the more you practice what you know is more you know what to practice. That
right.
is what I realized.
Right, that is very important. Okay, so Sonal, it was a wonderful interaction. The way you summarized all the things that what went in PI, what was in GT, आपने job के साथ कैसे manage करा, and I think that you're going to have a very bright future in your journey ahead. But before
Nice.
we just end this interaction, I would like to ask you something, or I would like you to share any thought of yours with the students, so to motivate them, to guide them, whatever the stage is yours, the platform is yours. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to share a personal story here because 2023, 24, 20, last of from the late 23 to 24 hasn't been really very kind to me. And I remember on December 15th of 2023, I got result of my CAT where I scored 99 percentile in two sections, but I missed the sectional cutoff in one, and I couldn't be admitted into any of the IIMs. And
Right.
then and in the same year, and even in 2023 itself, I filled out the HPCL application form, but I forgot to submit it somehow because of the job pressure, and I was engrossed in something else. And when I realized it, the last date was over. I couldn't even appear for that exam. And in due course of time in 2024, there was this phases of self doubt, and nothing was really, there was no clarity about the what's going to be in the future. But I just kept on doing the things right, and the right things at the right time. And I think that if from the situation that I have been into, if I could be here at a time, then you can also believe that if you do things right, things will definitely come back to you. It's all about your efforts and nothing else.
Right. So more you put your efforts, and the dream is going to be your ultimately it's going to achieve it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
true. That's true.
So that was an inspiring one, Soranil, and I would say that you're going to motivate a lot and your guidance is going to benefit a lot. So all the best for your career. And I would say thank
Yes,
you for your valuable time and suggestion that you
yes,
brought
ma'am.
for us.
Anytime, anytime.
And it was a very helpful and very wonderful interaction to have you on the panel.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you, ma'am.
Soranil. So take care and have the
Yeah,
best of the year ahead. Go and grow more. Okay? All
yeah,
the best.
yeah.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you, ma'am.